Hey guys, welcome to another episode where we are going to build a SaaS together. So you're basically going to hang out with me as I build a SaaS in 30 minutes every day. So the SaaS that we are creating is called Fancy Bar, and this allows you to add a nice little fancy bar notification to your website. So to give you kind of an example of the bar, I'll go ahead and just log out. And you can see that this bar up here is kind of what somebody can add to their website. We're gonna add a bunch of different designs, and we may even add some little, kind of like bars that pop up down at the bottom left or the bottom right, and then you can basically add them to any website. So we are building our software as a service using Wave, which is a software as a service starter kit, and you can download this. It is free, open source. It has a bunch of functionality out of the box. Be sure to check out devdojo.com/wave. So last video, we basically put together a new dashboard. So if you log into the application, you have your dashboard here, and I'm actually noticing something. There's an issue with this is sitting over our notification. And I want to show you this with Wave. We have this JavaScript function called pop toast, and that's what those little notifications are called. Those little notifications are called toast notifications. So it makes sense that the function should be called pop toast. So you can say pop toast, you pass it the type of message, if that is success, danger, info, or warning, and then you pass in the message that you want. So if I press that, you can see that we're dealing with a z-index issue. And I'm pretty sure I can just set the z-index lower on this user dropdown. So let me go ahead and jump into the code. Okay, so I'm just going to close out everything. And then I'm going to go to, I think this is inside of our app.blade.php inside of the tall stack theme. And I'm going to search for user dropdown. Let's see. Okay, we have user dropdown. I could probably drop this down to Z30. Let's go ahead and test this out. And now if I were to show that notification, yeah, now that notification sits on top of the user dropdown. So we fixed that. And then we've been going with this color scheme that's kind of black and white, and I kind of wanted the dashboard to kind of symbolize that as well, or we may add more color later on, but I'm going to see what it looks like maybe with a white background, and maybe we make this black right here. So I'm going to go to the logo, which is up here at the top. I'm going to say I want this to be BG white, and as we focus, I don't need any of these rings on there. So this color is going to be white, and then we have this fill is going to be black right there. So let's reload. Yeah, and that looks pretty good actually. I like the way that looks. So the whole top bar kind of flows together, and we don't even need this search. Maybe we will have it later on down the road, but I'm just gonna comment that out. So let's look for the search. And how about I just comment this whole piece out. And that brings everything there. So I need to comment out this piece. Okay. Now that looks good. Let's go ahead and sign out. And we have our dashboard, and then we also have our home page right here. It looks like I just discovered another z-index issue. So as I hover over this, it looks like this bar is sitting on top of the menu. So I don't even think we needed a z-index on that specific area. So let me see, here's the form. We have this Z30. Let me even move that to Z10. Yeah, that looks better. And this is kind of the process of building out your SaaS, is you're going to just be playing around with things, hovering over menus, clicking stuff. And as you do that, you're going to see things that are kind of jacked up or in the wrong place, and you're going to just have to kind of move them and then fix them from there. So that's kind of what it is. It's kind of just playing along with your app, and you're like, oh, that's not right. Okay, I got to fix that. I got to do this. And it kind of gives you a list of things that you need to do. You could always, if you had specified certain things that you want to work on for an hour a day, you could always maybe have a backlog of bugs that need to be fixed. So instead of me just fixing that stuff right there, I could have just added that to my backlog. So that was enough of me just ranting about that. I think the thing that I want to do in this video is I might want to create a few more bars up here at the top. So I might want to create a few more designs, and I think probably to do that, I usually maybe like to, find some sites that I can get a little bit of inspiration from, or I can even just create my own. And I think for now, I'm just going to create my own. There is one that I kind of got some inspiration from, which was, like I said, the Tailwind CSS website, which was this bar right here. So I could always search for maybe like notification bar application and see if I find anything. 7 great apps to personalize. That's probably not what I want to look for. So maybe pop-up bar application. By pop-up, maybe I take away the application, maybe service. Pop-up bar service for your website. Let's see. Wise Pops, I think I've already actually been to that one. Bar box. Yeah, I don't think I'm finding anything that I'm really looking for. Unbounce, pop-up and sticky bars. Maybe that's what I want to look for. Free pop-up maker. No, I just want to see what your designs look like. Okay, so here's an example of their designs. All pop-up templates. And I do like that they kind of have a template section or showcase, and that will probably be something that we add to Fancy Bar. So they have this email opt-in. So we could also have some email opt-ins as well. And I don't see anything that I really like there. How about this one? Unbounce. Convert better any page solutions. And that's kind of funny. Actually, that could be something that that we create for Fancy Bar is a cookie pop-up. So like a cookie bar similar to this. So this is actually kind of an example of something that we might want to add even to the bottom. But again, I'm still not seeing anything that I really like. So I guess what it comes down to is I just need to open up CodePen and I just need to start designing some nice bars that would look good at the top of a website. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is kind of just the part of like playing around and doing things that, will kind of help your application. You're kind of just writing some code, playing around, doing some things that you think is going to benefit your application. And having some really nice bars, some nice designs is essentially what the Fancy Bar service is all going to do. So I have to create some templates at the beginning. Excuse my ranting that I just, I don't know why I feel like I have to do that. I just have to explain myself. But yeah, so we're going to create some design bars, and this is the first one that we created. So I'm thinking we could probably even just use one as kind of like a base starter. And you know what I think I'm going to try is maybe like a really nice sleek black bar. And maybe I even want to make that H10. And I do want to fork this so I'm not messing with the original. So I'll call this Fancy Bar, and I'll say dark. Okay, so H10, so we have this gradient, and maybe I want this gradient to go from, I could say gray of 900 to a black. And that looks pretty cool. So I guess a few other things that I could do. I always like it whenever something has kind of like a shiny gradient, and in order to do that, like maybe there's like a line right here. And in order to do that, I can probably just add a rectangle and then kind of rotate it. So I will show you, it'll make more sense as I do it. So I need to make this container relative. And then inside here, I'm going to create a box. I'm going to say class equals W24, H24, BG, we'll do gray of 900. This is going to be absolute to the right of 0 and top of 0. And then we also want to set overflow to hidden so we don't see the excess contents that flow outside the bar. So we'll say overflow hidden. And now that's hidden. And now I probably want to, we'll say rotate 3, and we need to add transform. Let's see what that looks like. And maybe we want to rotate that more. So we'll say rotate 5. Let's say 12. Okay, Yeah, that looks pretty nice. So I also want to have a negative translate. I think that's going to be y of 5. So I don't want you to be able to see that additional stuff up here. So that should bump up. And then we want to have a negative translate, say x of 12. Okay, so that's kind of cool. I might want this to be a little bit larger. So maybe even we'll say 56 by height of 56. Okay, and then we need to translate the top even more. So we'll say of 12. Okay, looks pretty good. Maybe even translate y of 20. Okay, so now I also want to set the opacity of this. So opacity of 50. And this is going to be very subtle. So you can see that it's very subtle right there. So maybe we even set the opacity of 30. Yeah, and some of these subtle things that you can barely even see adds like a nice little touch. So one more thing that I want to try, what if I were to duplicate this and then I say negative translate x of, and I could move it over a little bit and say 48. Now it looks like that it's kind of overlapping, which looks cool. Let's make that 20. Yeah, it has kind of like a cool little effect right there. And you know what, maybe I actually want this to be at the very right. So instead of it being kind of inside of this max W6XL, I want to set relative and overflow hidden to the parent. And then I want to set the boxes outside of this div. Okay, and that looks pretty cool. Kind of like that right there. Okay, so we have that little subtle effect right there. I could also add it to the right, but I think one side is good enough. And you know, I may actually want to bump this down to even 20 and 20. Yeah, you can see that it's so subtle, but it's going to look really nice on certain monitors, and it's even these like little subtleties that make the design look really nice. So I think I'm going to keep that there, and then I need to design the content. So maybe a person doesn't want to have this button right here. Maybe they actually want it to be all the way to the right. So let's change the design of this color. So instead of that BG white, we'll say BG gray, and we'll try 800. That looks pretty good. Let's set the PY to 2, so it's a little bit larger button. Maybe not that much. We'll do 1.5. Okay. And not text blue. We'll do text gray of, say, 300. Let's make that a little bit lighter, 200. And instead of semi-bold, I'm just going to make this normal and see what that looks like. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm trying to see if the spacing on the top and the bottom are the same. I guess they are. It just looked like there was more spacing at the top. Okay, could just be my eyes playing tricks on me. So this learn more button, we need to actually have this have the cursor pointer. So it looks like an actual link. And we click on that, or we hover over it and it has the correct cursor. So a few more things that, you know, maybe we want to have is this text, but maybe we also want to have, I'm trying to think, maybe even like an image, like maybe the person wants like a nice icon, could be something that you have over there. So the place that I like to go to for some icons is flat icon. And maybe I'm going to search for something, even this light bulb looks kind of cool. Design thinking. So let me go ahead and open this in a new tab. And I copy this URL and just kind of see what it looks like if we were to add something like an icon over here to the left. So image source equals this. And we're going to say that we want it to have a class of WD 10, W8 and H8. Okay, so that looks kind of cool. And this could be something that, these bars are fully customizable. So the user could maybe click on that and then say, change icon. And I know that flat icon has an API. So maybe they could then search for an icon and they could select which one they want to have there. So let's see if that still maybe looks a little too big. We'll do W7 and H7. It looks a little bit better. I want to try something out. I wonder if it was really big. And then we could even rotate it. Transform, rotate. We'll say 12. Let's try negative rotate 12. And actually, let's make this W12 and H12. Yeah, I kind of like the way that looks, how it's actually doesn't fit in the bar, but it makes it look pretty nice. Let me try 14 and H14. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So maybe I want this to be, instead of item center or justify center, I want that to be justify between. So now we have to learn more over here. And it looks like the learn more, we need to have that Z index a little bit higher so it sits on top of those little rectangles that we created earlier. So let's go down. We have rotate 12. So I need to make this relative, and then we'll say Z10. Okay, so now it's sitting above there. And again, we could always change the color of that call to action. And I think that I probably want to have this text over here on the left. So I also want to change this. So say check out our latest product features. We've just introduced. So this is something that maybe somebody would have a notification about, and then somebody could click. And come to think of it, this whole bar should actually be clickable. So probably want to have cursor pointer for the whole bar. So as the user hovers over the bar, maybe we even want to have a change the background color as they hover. So I could say hover from gray dash 800. Just see if that works. Yeah, that kind of looks nice. Kind of looks like it lightens up with the bulb over here. And I could also say hover to gray of 900. Let me see if that's too much. Actually, I kind of like it whenever it just had the from gray 800. Or I could have from black. Let's see what that looks like. I kind of like that actually. Now you hover over it and then the whole thing becomes black. Or I could actually switch. I could say hover from black and then hover to gray of 900. So let's see. That's kind of cool. I like that. And maybe I actually want to switch this. So originally I want it to be from black and then to gray of 900. So I'll say gray of 900. And then we want to swap that direction. So we'll say from gray to 900. So this way, whenever you hover over it, it kind of looks like that the side that the bulb is on, that it actually lights up over there. So that's kind of a nice looking bar. Maybe I do want to have the text over there to the left, maybe not. And I actually don't like the way that this button looks because it kind of blends in a little too much. So maybe I could actually make this a yellow because it can kind of go along with this icon. So we'll say learn more, do BG yellow of 400. Let's see what that looks like. it's like super bright. But I don't know, maybe this is a call to action that will actually convert. Maybe more people will click on that. Actually, what if I tried a gradient? So I'm going to do bg-gradient. We'll say to right, and I'm going to go from, say, yellow 400, from yellow 400 to red, we'll say 400. And that's kind of cool. Let me say red of 500. Let me try pink instead of yellow. Okay, that's kind of cool. I kind of like the way that looks. I don't know if the text is actually sticking out too much, so let's make this a little bit darker. Try yellow of 700. That looks okay. I don't know if I'm really happy with it. Yeah, I mean, maybe I even want to just have put it back to the white. My bad. I'll say from gray, maybe 100 to white. So it'll be a subtle gradient to white. And then we need to change the text color. We'll say text gray of 700. Yeah, that looks pretty good. So I think this is another bar design that we can include. And now I'm wondering if I like that icon over there. I mean, it looks all right. Let's see what other kind of icons that we can find. So maybe we'll just say call to action. Let's see what we get with this. Usually flat icon just has some really nice stuff in here that would look good on most designs. Okay, this kind of announcer thing is kind of cool. So let me check this out. So maybe I want to actually have that one in place of this, because it looks more like, you know, a notification, like you're kind of announcing something. Yeah, so maybe now I don't need that rotate of 12, or if I did, I could change that down to rotate 2. Maybe we don't even need, just change it like that, because it's already turned sideways, right? Let's see. Yeah, it's already turned up. So let's change this to H10 and W10. Actually, I'm not really feeling that either. So let's, instead of choosing a colorful icon, I'm going to go to hero icons, and maybe I will search for not notify. I wonder if they have a megaphone icon. Megaphone, aha. Let's copy that. And let's put that in place of this image. So we're going to pop that in there. That's kind of cool. What if we gave this a text of gray, we'll say 500, and fill current. And we need to remove this image. Okay. And maybe in this case, it would be good if the text was to the very left. So we need to wrap this inside of a div. We'll say div class equals flex, and we'll say space x of 2. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Okay, flex, and we'll say items center. So we want that text to be centered. And maybe instead of gray, we want that to be a little bit lighter. We could also make this, let's go with blue of 400. That's kind of cool. I like that. With the blue. Now I'm kind of thinking maybe we have this button to be blue to kind of match that. So we'll say from indigo 600 to blue of 500, and then we need the text to be white. Okay, that's coming together quite a bit better. And maybe this text, let's see, we have text XS. I also want to add anti-alias. I think that makes the text look a little bit crisper. Yeah. Okay, so we have text XS and maybe font dash medium. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. I think we can mark that off as a design, and you can see that those gradients that we added over here, you can't see it. We might want to bump up the opacity on that a little bit. So we'll say opacity of, we will try 50. And actually, I'm not even seeing that. I think it's because we have, yeah, so let's change this to BG gray of, we'll say 500. That's going to be a little too apparent there. So now we need to bump the opacity down to maybe like 10. Okay, yeah, that looks quite a bit better. And then you can see as we change the, as we move the size, that is actually going to just move with the right of the screen. So that looks pretty good. We got just a few minutes left, so I think I'm gonna mark this off as a template, so as a bar. So right now we'll probably just call this bar 4, and I know we need to come up with actual naming conventions for these, but I think for now we'll just stick with numbering them until we get quite a few more, because we are going to just be creating a ton of these, and we're going to be creating nicer looking ones. These ones still are looking kind of plain, but let's see what that would also look like on the website. So we have this one bar, and let's go back to our main.blade.php, and let's put bars 04. And if we come back here and reload, we now have that new bar. And actually this one looks kind of cool on there. Let's say like this is the bar that you'll be able to add to your site. And I mean, maybe we could even make this like a slider, like that you could click next, and it'll show these different bars that we have up there. One thing that it's actually not matching the container. So if I were to go to, is it bar 04? I think we had max W 6XL. If I were to change that to 7XL, that looks a little bit better. And again, this will probably be something that the user has to configure themselves. I think if I set the PX of 10, actually, let's move that down to PX of 5. Yeah, now you can see it kind of flows with the site. But again, let's move this back to our design 3, bars 03. I think what we will want to do is probably add like a showcase button. You click on the showcase, and then it's going to show all these different bars. And then that's also going to be what the user is going to be able to put their website in, and it's going to show what these different bars are going to look like on the top of their website, on the bottom of their website. And yeah, I think that's pretty much all we have for this video today. Kind of seems like we just, created a simple design. We modified the dashboard a little bit, but that's what creating your SaaS is all about, is just testing out things, building things. There may even come a day where I'm like, I'm going to scratch everything that we worked on for this half hour and just start back again new tomorrow. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes, you just have an off day. But I think that's it for now. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for hanging out with me as we build a SaaS in 30 minutes a day. Hope you guys have a good one, and I will see you tomorrow.